Hey guys, welcome to the Trophy Life podcast. I'm your host, Tara Smith. From beauty to wellness, wife life, motherhood, and everything feminine in between, the Trophy Life podcast is a place where you can feel inspired and empowered and ultimately create the life that you desire and deserve. It's hot to romanticize your life, so grab a mocktail or your favorite cozy beverage and let's get into it. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Today, as maybe you haven't noticed that the episode went up a little bit later because you're an evening listener or you tune into the show in the evenings. But I filmed the episode for today last week and I listened to it back and I was watching it and I was like, I hate this. I just did not like it at all. And so I wanted to redo it. So here we are. So my editor edited everything and it did not pass the vibe check for me. And if that doesn't happen to me too often, because quite frankly, I'm very much so of the opinion of just it's not that big of a deal. Nothing can ever be fully perfect. So just do your best. But if I do ever feel that way, which does happen occasionally, I just run with it. So we are filming this at 4:08 p.m. on Tuesday in the afternoon because your girl was under the weather yesterday mainly, so I couldn't film yesterday. I could not talk yesterday, which is so crazy. But I did my entire supplement regimen routine, if you will, that I always do whenever I don't feel good. And my body's very good at fighting off something before it gets to be serious. So thankfully I slept for 12 hours last night, which was incredible. Or 11, basically 12. Once you pass 10 hours, it's all the same. So I'm very grateful that I was able to do that and that my body, I'm such a good sleeper. I sleep deeply so easily, if that's the way to say it. I could fall asleep anywhere, any given time, doesn't matter. I'm your girl for that. So I'm going to be reading some questions that you guys wrote in for the Big Sis Advice column. And before I get into it, I wanted to say that if you haven't ever seen this, it's in the show notes and it's also on our Instagram as well. It's linked there and it's just a Google form and it's completely anonymous. So it's really great. And it's just kind of a fun way for people to, write in questions to me and ask some big sister advice, if you will. So very excited. This is actually our first time doing this, this episode or this, what would you call it? This series on the podcast. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before we get into the episode, of course, we're going to go over my favorites of the week. So the first thing I have on my list is Marvel Rivals. It's a video game. My husband and I have been playing it together and truly it is so fun. I recommend it to anybody because it is so fun, especially when you're playing it with people. And it's fun, especially if you're a Marvel fan. It's that much more fun because you can play as Black Widow, Iron Man, Storm. I mean, it's the best. Second thing on my list is a matcha latte with coconut milk. I don't know why it took me so long to figure out that matcha lattes were in fact my favorite with coconut milk, but when you compare it to just regular milk, it doesn't even come close. I kind of want to try and make my own coconut milk somehow. I don't know. I feel almond milk, it's really easy to do that. I don't drink almond milk. You guys know this. I only drink cow's milk and now coconut milk, which I do drink coconut milk because I also love coconut water. And there's tons of great amino acids and all that type of stuff in coconuts. So very excited about this new drink that I've been obsessed with. I haven't had one in a few days just because every time I'm sick, I just fully avoid caffeine or honestly, matcha doesn't even sound good to me right now. So as much as I wish it did. Okay, the third thing on my list is the Joe Rogan podcast. I've been in it, okay? I have been loving the Joe Rogan podcast. I just listened to the Adam Sandler episode while I was like organizing my PR podcast room downstairs. And I was just like, he's so good at asking people questions. And it's obviously a different type of podcast than I do. We're basically just here for the girly chats and to talk about anything and everything. And it's fun, obviously, because it's solo. But yeah, I've just been very into it. The fourth thing on my list, which is so random, but is, well, there's kind of two things. So I'll do number 4 and number 5, but is cardio. I have kind of, okay, so probably back in 2019, to give you guys some context, before COVID, I would always, like stay on the Stairmaster was like my jam. That's my favorite form of cardio. Always will be. One day when our ceilings in our basement are high enough, I wish so badly we could have a Stairmaster in our gym because we have a home gym. But I'm 5'9", and so you need like a heavy amount of clearance to have a Stairmaster in a basement. And probably you'd probably need like at least 12-foot ceilings at least. And I think ours are like 9 or 10 or something. But I've been doing the 6 incline on the treadmill set at 3 speed, and then I go for like anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes. And the reason why I like this is because I have done 12, 3, 30, but I like this because I feel like I can do it every single day along with weightlifting, and it doesn't strain my body too much and like stress my body out. Like it just feels really good, and I'm sweating the whole time. Where when I do like the Stairmaster, I'd usually only need to go on there for like 20 minutes, if that, and I would be like sweating. Best cardio workout ever. And I love the Stairmaster. By far, like again, like I was saying, one of my favorite forms of working out. But this form of cardio on treadmill is incredible. And let me know if you try it, because I'd love to hear what you think. Second thing that kind of goes with that is listening to the David Goggins, his book. So I tried reading his book for the first time, I think it was in 2018 or 2017, and I just like could not get into it. And mind you, I was also like 18 or 19 at the time. So makes sense why, 19-year-old self Tara would not want to read a book that was that intense. Totally get that. But, as I'm now 27, I'm like, okay, I totally get the hype over his book. And I don't know if I still follow him, but I followed him for years, and I think everything that he does is so cool, and I definitely vibe with it for sure. However, when you pair this with cardio, it is such a lethal combo. It is so fun to listen to his book while doing this form of cardio. So I did that last week, and I'm going to continue. Hopefully I can work out again starting tomorrow, as long as I feel like at least somewhat okay, and I can even just do like an incline walking on the treadmill or something. That would be great. But yeah, those are my favorites from the week. Like I was saying, very excited for today's episode. So the first Dear Tara that we have, also sorry if I'm like a little out of it. If I like slur my words or anything, I am not on any like medication, but I just feel like when you're sick, it's just your brain's just like sometimes not fully there. Okay, I broke up with my ex because I'm moving for university, and he wanted to stay friends, which I was fine with, but he acts like we're dating and has tried to kiss me multiple times, even though I've set boundaries, and I don't know what to do. I don't want to be friends with him anymore. I don't even want to talk to him, but I would feel so guilty if I just ghosted him. What do I do? Okay. Well, first of all, I'm so sorry that you're going through that. Breakups are they suck. They're hard. It's not the vibe. It's not fun. It's not fun for anybody. And it's especially hard if it's not fully like each person feels the same way, which I feel like it rarely is mutual. Like, so one person is always, initiating it a little bit more. So I feel like the aftermath of a breakup is it can get messy. And I feel like it is really hard to be friends with someone that you have had feelings for. I don't really know if I know people always say it's possible, but I'm like, really? I'm like, you really think that after you've been like making out with somebody, going on dates with them, connecting with them on such like a personal romantic level, you think that it's possible to just like forget all of that and just be friends? At least in my brain, I don't see how that's possible. So I agree with you. And it makes sense why he's tried to kiss you multiple times and you've tried to set boundaries because you're just like, you're in those habits. It's so hard to like go back to square one when you've already been to square like C or D or freaking Z. You know what I mean? You just, depending on how long you guys were together, that also makes it harder. So obviously in this scenario, because you do not want to be with him and you don't even want to be friends with him, I would just say the best thing to do is ghost him. You don't have to like block his number, but just don't respond to him when he texts you. And I know it can, I feel like I with a lot of my friends who are single or like dating and stuff, I'm always just like, the vibe is always, you can never go wrong with making a guy like want you more. And honestly, ghosting somebody is such a good way to do that. But also in this scenario, it's good for you to do that because, you know, you should put yourself first and don't feel guilty. I would also say, like, understand that you don't need to feel guilty for ghosting him. Okay, second question. How did you grow your following on social media? I've always wanted to be a content creator, but I have truly no clue where to start. Do you have any advice? Yes. Okay, so what I would do is I would open up your notes app and I would write down basically just kind of like a journal for yourself on like why you want to be a content creator. Like, what is it about a content creator that you want to be? Is it because you want to have you want to stay home with your kids and have more time with them? Is it because you want to make an income from it? Is it because you want to grow a following? Like, be really honest with yourself and write down those questions and answer them. And then ask yourself, like, okay, how do I get these things if this is truly what I want? And I think if you are aligned with your own personal vision and what you want, and those two things, your vision and your wants, they line up together, I think if you just start and take action, I think you'll just naturally find out. And honestly, I feel like just don't overthink it. Just like, let's say you love makeup, just start making makeup content. Just start making beauty content. Even find like a creator that you are like, oh, I love their content, and you can get inspiration from them, and then spin it into your own way and put your own personal taste on it. And that's honestly what I would recommend because I think it can be really daunting at first. I kind of fell into social media because I started out doing a lot of modeling, and also I've just loved social media and making content before you could make money from it. Like, I've just always thought it was like almost like a fun hobby. And so I didn't purposely like start making content because I was like, oh, I can make money from this. I just loved to create, and it was like an outlet basically for me. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any other questions, and you could write them in for the next Big Sis advice, and let me know like where you are in the stage and if you've made any content or anything like that, because I would love to hear. Do you have a recipe for your skincare you could share? Okay, so I talked about this in an episode. I think it was my wellness, how to like tips to glow up your skin or your wellness, or I can't remember what it was called. But it was one of my first episodes, and I mentioned how since last July, I've been making my own skincare, which I know sounds so weird and crazy, but when I tell you that my skin has literally changed, and my hormones, I will say when I was pregnant, kind of got, like I was breaking out more, and I would say like basically like the mini postpartum that I went through after I had my miscarriage, I feel like I could tell that my skin was kind of like just, it was hormonal in a lot of ways. So I feel like I'm starting to finally like get my skin on a routine, like back to normal. But for sure it has changed my skin. I don't have a recipe for it, but stay tuned. That's what I'll say for that. I know it's so annoying, but just stay tuned. Let's put a pin in it. Okay, next question is I really hate drinking alcohol. It just makes me feel gross, but I always feel pressure to drink in social situations or during the holidays. I feel like everyone thinks I'm boring or weird if I don't drink at a party. Any advice? Absolutely, I have advice for you. So, I would honestly say that I don't know who you're around when you're feeling pressure to drink and you don't want to, but I would either just say just genuinely don't care about what other people think, which I know it's so hard to like do that. So maybe work on, like ways to just become more confident in yourself and your own personal decisions that you make. But in my personal opinion, I don't drink personally and I don't care if any of my friends do, but if I ever had friends that made me feel guilty for my own personal decisions, then they just wouldn't be my friends anymore. And same with family. Like if I had family that was like that, I just would not be around them because I don't want to waste my time and my energy around people who don't accept me for who I am. And I think it's very hypocritical, honestly, when people say stuff like that because you're just choosing a different life path or not a life path, a life decision than them. And they're essentially making, trying to get you to go back on your own word, which I just think is not a healthy relationship with anybody. Okay, next question. I have Hashimoto's as well as and have struggled so much on going gluten-free since that has been suggested. Finding good healthy products and places to go and buy them. Also just living a healthy lifestyle while living with Hashimoto's, all the things to do and stay healthy and feel good in your body. Food, supplements, doctors, what kind of doctors to see. Okay, so there's a lot on here. And then they also said that their spouse doesn't understand Hashimoto's, and so it's hard for them to live a different way, like eating different basically than their spouse because it's easier to just do the same thing. Okay, so you want me to just share everything I know and have learned? Oh my gosh, okay. I feel like, okay, I actually did an entire episode on this, so I would recommend going and listening to that. However, I'm going to try and keep it simple and just say like a few key things. So the first thing is not one person is the same as you, so it's hard to give like blank advice across the board because while humans are very similar, we're also very different in a lot of ways. So I don't want you to take anything, like obviously don't take this as medical advice. I'll just share my experiences and like what I did. And that's basically what I did in the Hashimoto's episode as well. So the first thing I did is I started just eating more whole foods and I cut out most vegetables because vegetables are very high in, oh my gosh, I just blanked on what it's called. I can't shoot, what's it called? They're basically, a lot of vegetables are really toxic for your thyroid. So I was eating like a lot of kale, for example, and that's one of the worst foods when it comes to like actual foods that's really hard on your hormones. And so I cut out and I basically was just following the animal-based diet as well. A lot of people call it, where you just eat grass-fed and grass-finished beef, raw honey, raw dairy, and fruit. And then like beef liver and beef organ supplements. So I started doing that, noticed a huge change in my hormones. Like I would say my levels more than half dropped, which is really great because I have hypothyroidism. So my hormone is my thyroid is overproducing most of my like T4, T3, TSH, all that kind of stuff. And so it cut down a lot of those, which was really great. However, I still have work I want to do. So I'm now kind of starting to go into I'm researching the Ray Peat is what it's called. Kind of like, what would you call it? I guess his like philosophy essentially on women's hormones and thyroid and stuff. And I would say it's very, very similar to animal-based. The only difference is like a few supplements. Like my midwife actually recommended me to take like 81 or 82 milligrams of like aspirin, so like the baby aspirin, when I was pregnant because of my subchorionic hematoma. And a lot of people in the Ray Peat community like swear by that, of like aspirin just having a lot of benefits. So I started taking aspirin yesterday. I'll keep you guys updated on how that goes, but apparently it helps a lot with inflammation. It helps with like blood flow. It helps with cognitive function, anxiety. It can help with like so many different things across the board. So I'm very excited to see how that goes. And obviously, because my midwife also recommended me to take it. So once I am wanting to get back on like the, you know, getting my Earthside babies here train, then, I'll switch and go back. I might actually just do the baby aspirin anyways, just on the daily. But I thought that was kind of cool that was something that my midwife literally recommended me to take, and they recommended it in the repeat community. And then I also got some new supplements that I'm going to be trying, and I'll keep you guys updated on those as well. I'm going to add oysters, hopefully on like a weekly basis, into my diet, which I'm really excited about because I am obsessed with oysters. They are like literally my favorite food. I swear I crave them 24/7. Love, love, love them. And I actually ate oysters very often before I conceived my first baby. And I just swear they have so many minerals and vitamins, and my husband did as well. And just, they're so good for you. So I'll keep you guys updated on that, but I would say go listen to my Hashimoto's episode for like for like a more in-depth conversation on that. Okay. Next question. Oh, this kind of goes along with it. Things you're doing / did to boost fertility. Oh my gosh, you guys. I need to also film an entire episode on this because there is so much that I did. And I've mentioned before, I got pregnant very, very quickly. Like to the day that I wanted to get pregnant on, I did. And I will say though, I was putting in the work 3 years in advance. So just by doing things like not drinking soda either at all or very minimally, like usually it was only around Christmas time for like literally 3 years, eating a lot of grass-fed and grass-finished ground beef, my organ supplements that I was telling you guys about, drinking a lot of orange juice, raw dairy, raw milk specifically, a lot of those kind of things I was healing my body with. Like I used to get UTIs, for example, all the time. And I was like, I gotta like completely heal this before I even think about starting to have a baby, because everything just gets exacerbated when you get pregnant, where I was in such good health when I was pregnant and I was still so sick, and it was really hard for me to like eat a lot of food. So you almost want to have like a nutrient buildup of a lot of healthy food and supplements and stuff. So I basically did, I obviously got blood work done, but I was focused on eating very high nutrient rich and dense foods, and eating processed foods very minimally, as like least as I can. Even things that are considered healthy, like still trying to eat strawberries instead of like, oh my gosh, or like making strawberry ice cream if I wanted like ice cream or something like that, because those small little things like still add up, which I know is very extra. So you just have to do what works for you 100%. I was also taking supplements like the Her Package one from Heart and Soil. I think is incredible. It literally has, I swear that supplement changed my life and helped me to not get UTIs anymore. I used to get UTIs so often. I got a kidney infection once when I was first married. That was the worst experience. The pain is so insane that you experience from a kidney infection. And so after I had experienced that, I was like, I need to really do everything I can to fully avoid anything like that happening. And so yeah, food, obviously incredible. Also going into the sauna, doing workouts, all of those things are so great. Like sweating, especially when you're trying to boost fertility, is so important. Having strong muscles as well. When you think about birth, it's literally, people say it's just as exhausting as running a marathon. So I kind of think of pregnancy as like an athletic go around or competition, if you will, for my mind and my body. And one thing I want to kind of incorporate a little bit more heavily into my routine this go around is meditation, because my anxiety was so bad when I was pregnant for the first time. And I think your hormones are just, your body's shifting so much. And so that's one habit that I really want to kind of take to heart, I guess you could say, this next go around, whenever it is. Because yeah, that's something that I think is extremely important, especially after I experienced what I did the first time. The next thing I want to say is, I don't know if a boy or a girl wrote this in, but I'm assuming it was a woman. Have your man also on very similar, if not the same, regimen. So I have Colby taking the whole package from Heart and Soil. I have him taking a sperm support. That's just like a sperm support supplement. It's from the brand Needed. However, not that I don't recommend it, but I would say between the two, go with Heart and Soil whole package because they're both pretty expensive. He's also eating whole foods. He does need to get better at drinking a lot of water. He knows that though. But eating things like oysters as well that are just really high in nutrients and a lot of stuff like that. Of course, actually for men, you don't want them to go in the sauna. So of course, just sticking with like walking, workouts, weightlifting for sure, things that boost testosterone, freaking chopping wood in the backyard, like whatever. I think Andrew Huberman has some good tips on, what men can do to like boost testosterone naturally, but I am pretty against taking testosterone supplements for men, like straight, like TRT or whatever that's called, because I've done so much research on all that kind of stuff, and everything I've ever either listened to experts talk about or I've read has only ever, like, of course there are positives in the short term, but long term, a lot of negatives. So I would just stick with Heart and Soil. That supplement alone is incredible, mixed with like working out. I would say those two things, and of course, having a good diet. Okay. The next thing, talk about motivation, how to stay committed to your vision and maintain steady effort. Oh my gosh, this is such a loaded question. And I definitely feel like I'm not perfect on this at all. I feel like one thing I've learned is you can't rely on motivation when it comes to like whatever your vision is. So I'll just use myself as an example for this. Like even just how I'm filming my podcast episode right now, and yesterday I was really sick. Today I've been really sick, but I was like, I need to get my podcast episode up because I made a commitment to myself and everybody who tunes in and listens, and I need to post every Tuesday and Thursday. Like that's just something that I made the decision a long time ago. So when hard days come, I'm just like, it doesn't need to be perfect. The episode doesn't need to go live at 1 a.m. per se, but it still needs to go live on the Tuesday and on Thursday. And obviously, like when I was pregnant and I was insanely sick, like literally I could not even sit up. Totally different scenario when your health is like that level. But I just did things to myself to like, I drank a ton of water before, I drank some tea, supplements, like all that type of stuff to prepare myself. And another fun thing that I love to do whenever I'm doing anything work related, because I feel like when you get into a groove of doing something, let's say like you're like 5 years into something, and sometimes that like excitement or whatever, some days it can just like not be there, which is totally normal. And again, like you're not crazy for feeling that way. So one thing I'll do is I will like order a drink from Starbucks, or I'll, like usually it is a Starbucks drink because I usually am like, ooh, a matcha latte would make like this whole experience that I'm about to have so much more fun. And so I'll just find ways to like make the everyday life more exciting and basically like romanticizing it. And I swear, like it makes such a difference and it makes it so fun. And as much as I try to not like care about what my mood is thinking, sometimes it's really hard to not ignore it. So I will try to do that as well, where I'll just try to be like, this mood I'm in right now is not going to serve my future self. Therefore, I'm going to acknowledge it. I see it, but I'm going to just going to keep moving forward. And I'm just like not going to worry about it. And I'm not going to overthink it. And I feel like overthinking is where so many people, especially women that I've talked to, kind of get into like the spinning wheel, like a hamster on a spinning wheel who just like isn't going anywhere. And I think it's because of overthinking is something that I have personally noticed with myself and just like friends and other creators that I've talked to. And with the creators that are successful, that's also one thing that they're really good at usually, or business owners, is just not waiting for something to be perfect to put it out. And this is such a good reminder for myself too. Like every time I talk about this or think about it, I just love it because it just reaffirms to me how true it is. And yeah, I mean, that's really like what I would say about that, because I just think motivation is like honestly kind of like a scam almost. And some days you will be really motivated and other days you won't. And that's just life, baby. And it's totally okay. But yeah, I hope that helps, because it's such a, like all these topics are such loaded topics. And I wish I could have like a direct conversation with you. And maybe we could do that in the future. Maybe have like a little caller situation so I can actually like give you advice talking to you, because that could be pretty fun too. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Oh wait, we actually have one more question. Okay. I really struggle with my gut health and I've listened to your podcast. It was great advice, but do you have any recommendations for recipes that won't hurt my stomach or make me bloat? Okay. So, first of all, hot girls have tummy issues. 100% believe that, because like you are talking to the girl who used to have every tummy issue that you can think of. So I've tried everything. Literally everything you can think of. I went keto for a long time. I was vegan I wasn't vegan for that long because I literally felt like I was going to die. Like I felt like I was going to pass out. And I was getting enough protein, which again, I think works for some people. It did not work for me. My point is that I've tried a lot of things. And honestly, the thing I would recommend the most is focusing on eating a lot of protein, specifically grass-fed and grass-finished ground beef. And I would try out the animal-based diet. I really think it's incredible. And I love the Heart and Soil stomach. I can't remember what it's called. It's like stomach something, but it's a great supplement that really helped heal my gut personally. And also raw dairy. You don't have to do raw dairy or dairy at all first. And by the way, if raw milk scares you, do like A2 milk, but just make sure it's 100% grass-fed. My favorite brand, they sell it at Whole Foods. I've talked about it before, but it's Alexandria Farms, and it's like this green writing on like a clear bottle, and it's just in like the milk section. But I love that brand. It's absolutely amazing. Love their farms. But yeah, I think eating an animal-based, basically aka just a whole foods diet, is awesome. And a lot of times women who have like IBS or whatever struggle with, like I really struggle with digesting most rice, that's unless it's just white rice. So like brown rice, wild rice, I cannot digest it. Kale, spinach, like my body just does not do well with those at all. So maybe try cutting out those type of like vegetables and stick with like zucchini, carrots, squash, tomatoes. Actually, tomatoes sometimes, like nightshades, can be kind of hard for people that have IBS too. But yeah, your girly definitely has spent a lot of time researching, reading books, listening to podcasts, all that type of stuff on like gut health and how it affects literally everything. Speaking of gut health, if your gut health is not like not even like a full on 100% peak position, a lot of times it shows through on your skin. So a lot of times I wish like there was more of an approach when it came to skincare with looking like at someone's diet and what they're putting onto their body and all that kind of stuff. But for some reason, we just don't talk about that as a society. In other cultures, they do. But so if you like have acne, a lot of times clearing up issues within like your gut will really help clear up your skin. It did for me 1,000,000%. I used to have insane cystic acne. Maybe I should do a whole episode on this too, because oh my gosh, like my skin was so bad. When I look at old pictures of myself, I'm like, holy crap. Like I had tiny bumps all over my forehead. I had cystic acne on my cheeks. And yeah, I just think a lot of it comes from the gut, which is very, I think, so empowering and incredible and so much better than having to spend like hundreds, maybe not hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, but most likely you'd spend that much on like different chemical treatments and peels and lasers and all these things when you can really just get to the root by looking at your diet. So again, hope that helps. I can do another episode if you guys want. If you DM me on the Trophy Life podcast Instagram with like an episode topic that you're like dying to talk about or chat about, just DM me on there. And I would DM me on the podcast account because I'll be a lot more likely to see it than on my personal account, just because I get a lot of I'm on my personal account, I get a lot of DMs. So very excited about today's episode. Such a fun little episode series that we're going to do here on Trophy Life. So I really hope that you loved it, and I hope to hear from you. Please write in. I would love nothing more than to give you some big sis advice. So I love you guys so much, and I will see you very shortly on Thursday. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did. If you enjoyed it, make sure to join the Trophy Life Club. It's a free community for the girls by yours truly, and it's on Instagram. It's just at Trophy Life Club. You can also follow me at Tara Kelly Smith on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. If you have an extra minute, I would also love and super appreciate if you would review the podcast. This will just help us reach more women who could use a little TLC, aka Trophy Life Club, in their life. So I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.